Welcome to Flawless Shoe Reviews. Today we're comparing the New Balance More V6 versus the More V5. Now they've made 5 major changes to the More V6 and some smaller tweaks to it as well, which I'm going to break down so you know if it's worthwhile upgrading. Now first of all, they've widened the outsole on the shoe, so it is a really broad platform underneath your foot compared to what we saw in the More V5, especially in the midfoot. I've compared it to the Brooks Ghost Max and it's even wider than that, and it's just as wide in the forefoot as the Hoka Gaviota 5. So it makes the shoe a lot more stable underfoot as a result of having that broader platform. They've then changed the height of the sidewalls on the inside and the outside of the shoe, and that doesn't compromise the stability of the shoe, which is great. And an added bonus to that is I think it looks a bit more aesthetically pleasing. I know in the past when I've recommended it to people, they're a little bit put off by the height of the midsole on the shoe, and in fact the stack hasn't changed very much in this model. It's only a mil higher with 44 mils in the rear foot, 40 in the forefoot in the More V6. So it's extra mil of stack throughout the shoe, but it looks more subtle in terms of how the midsole looks compared to what we see in the More V5, which is really quite chunky. Then as we move along the shoe, we've got a slightly more aggressive forefoot rocker that starts a little bit early. So it starts a little bit earlier in the shoe and then curves upward, and that facilitates the push-off phase of the gait cycle. It's also got a slightly more toe spring, and that's where your toes are held in slight extension, again facilitating a nice push-off. Those of you with sensitivity around the ball of the foot, it's just something to be aware of, but the majority of the population, you shouldn't have any issues with that. Now the weight stays roughly the same, about 300 grams for a size 9 men's US versus 303 in the More V5, and we still have that fresh foam X cushioning, but it does feel different underfoot. So it doesn't feel as soft or as squishy as what we felt in the More V5, a little bit firmer of an end feel, not necessarily more responsive, but it just doesn't feel as unstable as what we felt in the More V5, and I think that's partly got to do with the wider platform, the changes in the sidewalls, but also they've added a much stiffer heel counter on the back of the shoe. So we can see in the More V5 it was very easy to flex it, not much external heel counter stiffness, whereas in the More V6 much stiffer, a lot more stable there, so that helps to control your ankle when you initiate contact with the ground. And then moving down the shoe, we've got a new engineered mesh up on top of the shoe, and then we've got slightly more volume in the toe box, so it's a little bit higher, so those of you with a bigger foot, you'll enjoy that, and it's got loads more space in the toe box compared to the More V5. So those of you with a wider foot will enjoy the normal size, and it comes in a wide version as well. Now they've managed to have a nice fit in the toe box without compromising the fit in the midfoot and the heel, which is quite snug, and that's partly to do with this lacing system and the plastic bar that runs either side of it, so when you pull on the laces it really pulls it evenly tight on either side to help facilitate that nice lockdown. So overall we've had some really nice changes. They've broadened out the outsole to give you more stability, the cushioning doesn't feel as soft, you've got a stiffer heel counter, you've got a bigger volume in the toe box with a wider toe box, and overall it feels a lot more stable as a shoe. When you're using it for walking or for lifestyle use, it's still an excellent option with that 4 mil drop. Still got loads of stiffness in the forefoot due to the amount of cushioning that you have underneath that forefoot. When it comes to performance and running, it's still going to be that easy recovery run shoe. As I say, it's not bouncier or more responsive than what we felt in the More V5, however it is a lot more stable and it's a little bit more firmer than what we felt in the More V5. However, if you have any questions on it, please drop in the comment section below. I'll put links to the shoes in the description if you want to check out the latest prices. Otherwise, if you found the video helpful, like and share and subscribe, it makes a massive difference. Thank you very much for watching.